If you're happy with your life day to day, you're successful. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Behind Their Success podcast. I'm Peyton Squires, the host, and today we have on Daniel Nikic. He is a global investment research expert and founder of Coherent Research. With over a decade of experience, Daniel has analyzed more than 15,000 companies in sectors like AI, software, and data, helping venture capitalists and high net worth individuals make investment decisions. He was raised in Canada, but now lives in Croatia, where he specializes in the U.S., European, and Middle Eastern markets. Daniel, welcome on Behind Their Success. Tell us a little bit more about you. You kind of grew up in Canada.
My parents are originally from Bosnia and Herzegovina, present day, which was Yugoslavia back in the late 60s, and then they went to Canada. And I grew up in a pretty small town called Alton Hills, so it's outside of Toronto. I went to school, educated everything in Canada. And then once I finished university in 2009, it was kind of when the financial crisis happened. So it's like, what are you going to do? And I think when you're younger, you're more willing to take risks, roll the dice. And I thought, why not see how life is in Europe? And then I ended up moving to Europe, and I ended up staying. And I've been here for over, it's going to be 16 years.
Interesting enough, it sounds like me and you are about the same age. I kind of came out of college that same time period, like 09, 2010. I just went to grad school because I couldn't get a job. And it's still coming out, and amazingly enough, I'm coming out of college or undergrad with a finance and accounting degree in the middle of, the entire financial markets just melting down. All these people getting fired and laid off, and me, who knows nothing, obviously didn't have a great chance to get a job.
Interesting enough, I did accounting too.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I started off in accounting. I switched to international business in 2007. I'm like, oh, the markets are going good, international. And then the crisis came. Like, I should have take accounting. Debit equals credit.
Yeah. Amazingly enough, it's like accounting, I didn't really enjoy it that much. And it was really, and really the only reason I got the major is because it was just easy to combine with the finance. I love finance a whole lot more, investments, stock market kind of stuff, and ultimately ended up down the accounting track because, it was easy to double major. And so, that's, kind of track down. So, big decision there to move to Europe. What do you think has been the biggest benefit of some of the experiences and stuff you've done?
So I think it goes with a lot of people who come from who are first generation, say if they're Italian American, Irish American, or Indian, etc. You kind of have a culture pretty more Indian or American. I think I went through that definitely when I was growing up in Canada, but you realize how more Canadian you are when you leave a country. There was definitely a cultural difference because at that time, technology, it wasn't that advanced as it is today. And I'm not into social media, but social media wasn't as popular. Facebook was still so, I guess. You definitely see a difference because obviously Croatia was part of Yugoslavia, which is a former communist country. And it was weird when I heard people saying, oh, the government should pay for this, the government. And you're not used to it really in North America as much. So definitely you see the difference in also economic strategies, but also law, because it's civil law. We have common law in North America, especially Canada. I would say it opened my eyes because you also see how willing people are willing to fight to survive because you don't have as many resources and even entrepreneurs. I think Eastern Europe is quite underrated in terms of opportunity. When you think about it, the first AI company to go public in the stock market was UiPath, and they're from Romania, the founder. So it's quite interesting when you hear stories. And I think you also see a difference in upbringing, just the education system, et cetera. Because, for example, in university, if you want to go in Croatia, it's free if you get good grades. In Canada, in the States, unless you got a scholarship, you have to pay. It's the difference in the education systems. Because I think I would say in North America, because I'll put Canada and America's in that category, we're more pushed in terms of marketing, sales, and even different programs. And I think they have really good technical skills. In Eastern Europe, I'm saying in terms of mathematics and IT experts a lot. And I know a lot of companies in America and Canada, they outsource to Eastern Europe. And we see with hackers too. They're smart. They're smart. But one thing I would say, which is really rare, that I've talked to a lot of people who've lived throughout the world, say in Germany, Asia, they said the one good benefit coming to I would put UK in that category too. UK, Canada, and America. It didn't matter where you came from. You had an opportunity to provide, which was quite rare, especially now it's changed a bit, but back like 30 years ago, 40, 50 years ago when my parents immigrated, I think that's quite notable to mention.
So, kind of turning it back to you, Daniel, and what's your kind of top skill that allows you to be successful at what you do?
I think it's always being responsive, always doing what the client wants. I always customize my work to what a client wants. So say if they want it in a simple email, they know I want bullet points email. I will need a nice report. I will need Excel. I will need PDF. Put in an email like I am like, just do it like that. Send it to me so I can read it quickly because I'm busy with meetings and etc. And I'm always responsive. People who know me personally. They know if I don't respond within an hour, I get messages like, are you okay? Are you safe and stuff? Or are you sleeping? What's going on? So that's one thing. And I'm willing to adjust to what the client needs and want. I'm not stubborn in my ways because I work with quite successful individuals, especially who are YPOers, young president organization members. And I think I've learned to be humble and keep my mouth quiet. And that's the best way to learn. And you just see from them, they're the most responsive. From my experience, the most successful people are responsive and they're willing to learn from others.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, that it's the people that are most successful are to be, the arrogant brat, people like that. And people like that can have a level of success or whatnot, but that usually, that type of attitude is certainly going to limit you. The ego is like the success inhibitor of anything, right? Tracing and getting rid of your ego. I mean, that's the only way you can be open to actually learning new and to be able to develop and be, these successful type people that you're working with.
Definitely. And one thing I noticed, if you know someone's from a certain area or location, or if they have certain interests, and if you have common interests, they like you a lot more. You want to work with people that you kind of like. So say if you like hockey and I like hockey, we'll talk about the St. Louis Blues, Toronto Maple Leafs, Colorado, whatever. You just have a common theme. And I see that at the end of the day, everyone's human, right?
So people just want to know you're competent, like we work in the wealth and tax areas. So they don't want to know that you know what you're doing. Other than that, just give them a good experience. It's like, it's like give them a good experience, make them feel good. That's really our job, right? Is give them confidence and make them feel good about what is occurring is big. Yeah. And relational, right? Like I'm really fairly skilled at and developed, through all my years working with all these different people is to be able to connect with people and be able to connect quickly. And first thing I do when I meet somebody, and this is not even like conscious, it's such a habit at this point. It's like, I'm sizing them up, right? And like, okay, noticing what they're wearing or what they have and like where they're from. It's finding some way where you can connect and really build that trust.
Definitely. And it's interesting what you said, what the person's wearing. So not to get too sidetracked, I remember when I was in university, I had like a summer job working at a local accounting shop. And I remember I didn't dress that like formal. And the person said to me, dress like it's a uniform, it's a sign of respect. And it drilled in my head. And it does matter. You might not think about it, but even I've worked with people who are successful tech entrepreneurs and stuff. And they're like, they might be wearing a t-shirt or a baseball hat, but they're looking at what you're wearing. They don't need to dress up. They're successful.
No, 100%. And I've gone through a lot of that transition in my life, right? Like in the beginning of starting my own business. I used to dress really up, but absolutely. You're 100% correct. It matters how you present yourself. Absolutely. But me, it's like, I try to, at this point in my career, is just be even more unique. I'm just trying to myself, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm a bit more of a casual type person. And, that's just me, authentic self.
Well, I think that's fair too. People like authenticity, definitely. And I noticed that when I would like work with a lot of VCs, investors, and they would be like, what's your insight? And they're like, I want what you read in an article or from this report. What do you believe in? Because that's what they're paying you for.
Yep.
They can use ChatGPT for that.
Oh yeah, that's good. So, how do you define success, right? Like, so how do you define success in your life and kind of what you're doing, just in general?
In terms of success in life, I think you have to be content with yourself. One thing I would say, even in personal life or in business, if you're happy with where you are, you're not thinking, I wish I could do what that person is doing. If you
Yeah.
can, I'm happy with what I'm doing. I think that's success. I don't care what you do or what your salary is, and I think you have to have a purpose. You have to enjoy. I wouldn't say you can't enjoy everything what you're doing. That's impossible. That's fantasy land. But you should be happy with the vision that you have of what you're doing. I would say that. And I don't think everyone's fortunate to be realistic.
1% of the population, maybe. And in
Yeah.
my opinion, and just in my experience, and yeah, you're right. Like yeah, when I'm talking about success and whatnot, and it's like, yeah, it doesn't even matter how that materially like expresses itself. If you're happy with your life day to day, you're successful because
Yeah.
these other people you're looking at that you may think are success, most people don't have, right? Where they're happy day to day. Human motivation and purpose, a lot of that just comes from finding working on something that you're good at. And the only way to get good at something is to spend a lot of time in it and practice, get reps. But you have to it has to be something that you're good at and you have a bigger, like a bigger vision for it, right? Like you said, it can't just be about you. It can't just be about money. It has to be serving some other human being, right? And that's really, in my experience, where people actually find fulfillment and success and constant energy and keep going.
I agree. And I think one thing that defines a person from achieving their goals and not is getting over their barriers. Because based on my experience, the most successful I've been with goals or projects is when it's been the toughest and I grind through it. It's like, okay, I've got to grind through work till like 5 o'clock in the morning just to get over this hump. And then you feel so happy. You feel like Hercules, King Kong. Yelling with the-
Well, sure. Yeah. Yeah. And that's because you broke through something you never broke through. You had some major problem. And the only way to solve that is to just sit there and wrestle with it, right? And struggle with it until you figure it out. And you're amazing once you do that and do that several times. And then you start to train your brain of like, I can do stuff. I can figure out stuff. And you have the evidence of it now, right? Which gives you even more fuel to just kind of keep going.
Well, definitely. And the most successful people that I've worked with, they're hard workers. Like they're working weekends and stuff. And it depends. Some people don't want that life. So everyone has their choice, right? And they're focused. They don't get distracted. I think you have to have that discipline and routine and not get distracted.
Yeah. Distractions are the number one thing. Almost everybody, every time we have a conversation with somebody about their business, like when they're presenting, what's going on in business, every time it comes back to, you need to get more focused and more clear on what you're trying to even accomplish. And it's like almost always the issue, right? It's like people are not focused because if they got just laser focus on like one area of their business, or one area of making money, and get that in such a great place, and then finally move on to that next new shiny object.
I agree. And I think the other thing is some people, when they're building a business idea, I'm saying this like based on my own experience and working with founders, I think they want quick success. I think the one good thing about life is experience, even personal and business. And you have great stories from it too.
There's many times we have conversations here in the office where I'm like, oh crap, something's gone wrong, or like, oh, this is a big problem. And I'm like, well, at least it'll make a great story.
Exactly.
Are you looking for a new tax experience? Looking for an advisor that actually brings you high-level ideas and proactively plans so you aren't overpaying your taxes? Or how about one that even just responds and communicates in a timely fashion? If any of that resonates with you, you probably just have a tax preparer and not a tax planner. And it is through the tax planning process where all the value is found. I'm Peyton Squires. I'm a CPA and owner of WR Tax Planners. We work alongside entrepreneurs and high-income earners, helping them pay the least amount of income taxes, both legally and ethically. We have saved our clients hundreds of thousands of dollars through specific strategies, and we guarantee we can find multiple tax saving strategies that your current tax preparer hasn't told you about. If that interests you, head on over to the contact page at PeytonSquires.com. There you can fill out a contact form and get a call booked to see what it would look like to have WR Tax Planners on your team. Going back to kind of the beginning, Daniel, like early in your life, so you're leaving, you're leaving Canada right now and going to Europe. If you could talk to that guy, that kid, what is one piece of advice
You're not as smart as you think you are. You're not the Wayne Gretzky or Pele. I think I underestimate how successful and tough it is to move to a different country.
Yeah.
And I would also say that success doesn't come quick. I grew up quite quickly, and you have to be resilient, but I I don't regret it because I'm happy with the person I am today, content. And I think you really have to be open minded to other people's thoughts or opinions. And
Mhm.
at the end of the day, some people are going to say things that you don't like, but you shouldn't be too reactive. I think it's kind of a maturity thing also.
For sure. Yeah, yeah, and it's a maturity thing. I've talked about on here. Viktor Frankl wrote the book Man's Search for Meaning. He was a guy that very famous book. He was, Auschwitz during the war and whatnot, and very profound book. I think everybody should read it. But it talks about the only thing a person can control is the response to their environment, and that gap, that tiny amount of time between some stimulus that it's just your brain, maybe it's somebody saying something to you, and your response is about the only thing you. And it's becoming more and more aware, and becoming more and more self-aware and becoming more and more of like a third party observer, right? Not being the person in the body that just reacts naturally, right? Or whatever trained response we have. Like somebody yells at you, you may just have a trained response to yell back. And it's trying to control that gap to where you can get stimulus and then control your actual response to it.
I definitely agree. And I think it goes in terms of business too,
Mhm.
because you're going to deal with problems and how you respond to it matters a lot. And I think I've been the most inspired by people who know how to deal with stress. You might
Okay.
not like the person, but you'll respect them at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, and in my experience and stuff I've been through, it's the ability to take on more and more stress or more and more responsibility. It's just a training thing, right? It's like climbing a mountain, right? Like they climb a mountain in stages, right? Because as you go up, the oxygen gets worse and worse, right? You get less and less oxygen. And so it's kind of like that, maybe you have a little success in one area of your business and the business jumps up. It's amazing how much that can like freak you out because you're not used to breathing at like that lack of oxygen, right? But the amazing thing is once you stay at that level for a little while, it becomes more, right? That's where people that are able to take on that much stress and responsibility is because it's just normal to them. And because they've been exposed to it so much, it's just their day to day life. And they can handle it easily. With somebody like me, may just get ran over.
I think people who know how to deal with stress and stuff, they seem to be the most positive. Just being positive and just saying, okay, what's the solution? Okay, we got a problem. Let's not jump to the first solution because I used to be like that. Hence experience. Oh, the first solution is the best one. Later, like, oh, I got another three problems now. I should have brainstormed a bit better.
Yeah, and it's finding the actual linchpin and the actual issue there is, it takes a little discovery. And entrepreneurs often want to avoid the actual linchpin issue, right? Like the biggest issue that's holding business because it's a problem they want to solve, right? Otherwise, they already solved it. And then they waste all their time solving all these smaller problems they know how to solve because it feels good. and amazing enough is like, you may have a list of like 1 through 5 of your priorities that you need to work on your business. And number one is this massive thing that you know how to solve. And then you got to say 2 through 5. You'll work on 2 through 5 because that's easy stuff for you. But amazingly enough is like, if you can fix number one, maybe 2 through 5 don't even matter. Right.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
so
true.
it's because like, if you fix one, maybe 2, 3, and 4 are like, well, those go away problems anyway. Right. It's always trying to get more focus and fixing the one issue, one bottle, the most major bottleneck.
So I agree, definitely.
One last question for you. So what
Yeah.
have you found is like your most rewarding experience kind of on your journey?
I got to experience a lot of different cultures.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have experienced that if I stayed in Canada. I probably would have worked corporate. I'm not making fun of corporate or anything, but I wouldn't want the entrepreneurial route because I think there's a lot more opportunities to work corporate in Canada compared to Europe. And I traveled throughout Central Eastern Europe, went to UK, Germany, Spain, Middle East. I never would probably went to UAE or Saudi Arabia and Qatar. And one thing I was shocked when I was in Saudi Arabia, I was like, it's so clean. I did not see one piece of garbage. And the hospitality, I felt like a king there. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, I might as well move here. I think it's also learning about, you get different opinions. You learn about how people operate because I would say in the Middle East, they're very polite, very respectful. In Eastern Europe, they're more direct. What's the point? Da, da, da. In UK, they're more like, okay, let's build business relationships. In America, it's like, let's buy a solution, let's move fast. So you learn a lot of different cultures
Yeah.
in a way, and then you incorporate it all and formulate your own strategy.
Yeah. And I think that's insanely valuable, right? Like to get involved in all these different cultures. Cause like in reality, like, obviously no culture has the 100% truth, right? And it's cool to get exposed to all these different business people and how all these people just go about living life, right? And then you can just take whatever makes sense to you, right? Like, so,
Exactly.
and I think getting exposed and I'm a guy from a small town in central Missouri. So like, my experience in life of growing up is such a tiny experience compared to what the whole planet is, right? And we all as humans take our experiences as kids and like we just naturally think, okay, that's how the whole world works, right? And it's wrong. It's not.
Yeah.
And how you view the world is not holistic truth. And you talk about, humility. I love the analogy of like, your view of the world, your experiences of the world. It's almost like looking out the peephole in your front door.
Yeah.
And that's like the percentage of the world you're actually seeing. And I think that's just important to remember from like humility standpoint, like we talked about humble earlier. Man, I wish people would understand that in politics, especially. Hey, just because you believe something doesn't necessarily make it true. In long story short, it just comes back to humility and being able to realize that you don't know exactly how it works. And the only way to do is to learn more stuff from it.
Yeah, definitely. And people have different experiences. You can't judge a book by its cover. That's one thing I would say, because you might think, oh, this person might not have knowledge about this, da da da. They'll shock you with their health, and you're like, you think you're eating healthy? They're like, you're not eating that healthy, da da da. It's like, and then you take something from them. You learn,
Yeah.
you keep on growing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's finding people, anywhere in your life that, maybe a few steps ahead of you in some sort of area, like maybe health or wealth or business or whatever it is. And like, kind of being curious and be like, hey, I wonder what these are people doing. They have something that I would like to have in my life. Let me learn from them how they got that, and maybe I can implement it on my own.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Daniel, it's been a great conversation, man. Like, what is the best way people can connect with you and get to know more about you?
Sure. The best is go to my website, danielnikic.com, and you can see the companies I'm working with, and you can send me an email. People who know me, I respond to emails, even cold emails. I'm an emo type of person. I haven't
Right.
adjusted to other social network, and I like emails. Just used to it. And yeah, so or you can send me a message on LinkedIn and stuff too. You'll see all my contact details on the website.
Yeah, awesome. So it's, look him up, guys. Daniel Nikic. It's Nikic. Let's spell his last name. Yeah, connect with him. Daniel, man, this is a great conversation. Anything else you want to leave for the listeners before we go?
I would just say be open-minded when learning about other people's experiences, and when you read something, hence investment research. Always looking at both sides of the story. And
Yeah.
thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And this guy that also kind of works in the financial world. Yes, you're right. You should always be looking for evidence that goes against what you believe in your investment to a solution, right? Make sure you get the whole story.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome, Daniel, man. I appreciate you coming on, and listeners, we will catch you next time. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. If you found it valuable, please rate, review, and share it. That is the best way to help us build this and reach more people, as we're trying to accomplish our goal of help creating more healthy, wealthy, and wise entrepreneurs. You can follow us on social media by searching for me, Peyton Squires, or going to PeytonSquires.com. On the website and social media, we're always sharing tips of personal growth, and there we can actually interact. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, guys.